Okay. Got 3 pieces here. They all kind of similar look. Let's do this one.
So for this one, starting at the top too can sometimes help you as well, because you'll see
Yeah.
like a little bit of almost stasis changes.
Good. Yeah.
And that can kind of help clue you into sight in terms of, oh, you might be on the leg.
Good.
So that helps a lot with this paniculitis. And then when you go down deeper, you can start to see it's more of like a lobular process. And what I tend to look for is kind of like the lipo-membranous changes, like kind of like the feathery bits. I think that really helps me to kind of say that this is lipodermatosclerosis.
Yeah. Lipodermatosclerosis. This is the classic textbook exam question and finding. This frilly, fern-like, frond-like stuff that almost looks like a weird, or a weird worm. I think that sometimes if you're having a bad day, in the past people didn't always know, and they wondered if these were like helminths or something. I think early on, until people figured out what this is the fat cell died, and the membranes kind of folded into this complex pattern. And so these are the dead fat cell membranes that are all infolding and give this really pretty pattern called the arabesque pattern, or the membranous lipodystrophy pattern, whatever name you like for it. That pattern is classic for lipodermatosclerosis. In real life, I do see it sometimes in fat necrosis from other settings. In addition to that, like you said, we usually have stasis change up top because this is thought to be a severe form of stasis that gives you these like dense sclerotic kind of firm areas of atrophy on the lower legs, whereas the upper like calf is more normal, and then down at the distal end of the lower leg is really sclerosed and shrunken down. So the inverted champagne bottle appearance clinically. I don't know why, like why does this happen? So much sclerosis and damage to the fat down here, and yet this person, they have stasis, but I mean, I see stasis that's way worse than this all the time, and the people don't have lipodermatosclerosis. So I don't understand why some people get this and some people don't, but the thought is that this is basically a variation of vascular stasis, venous stasis, that involves the deep dermis and subcutis. But the findings often maybe really throughout the dermis and subcutis, but here it was more subcutaneous predominant in this case. So then you will also have fat necrosis, fat atrophy, dense sclerotic hyalinized collagen filling up the septa, and in the fat here, look at the calcs. So if what if calciphylaxis were in the differential? Then you might have some trouble, right? Because some of these things are the calcs we can see in calciphylaxis, but again, you can see them in other settings too. Okay, so varying amounts of calcification are often present. This case actually has a nodule of ossification, bone. This is actually a whole bone nodule that's mostly chunked out. And you will have varying amounts of inflammation, often lymphs and plasma cells. And you may actually get cystic spaces where the fat liquefies, and you get like fat necrosis that has all washed out and just left a little foamy histiocytes lining around the edge of the cystic space. So all of that mixture of stuff can be seen in lipodermatosclerosis, which again is like a severe form of stasis that causes paniculitis and fat necrosis.